let's talk about decking. One thing that almost everyone needs is decking. And most people that come and talk to us when they first start thinking about decking, in their mind, they're thinking concrete. And probably just because concrete has been the most used over the years, I should say in recent years. Historically, pavers were the most used. And now pavers are coming kind of back into favor. But let's talk a little bit about concrete. Concrete is a unique product because it's one of the only products I know that the international organizations for that product have a form for us to have our customers sign that says that it very well will crack. Okay, if there's anything that concrete is guaranteed to do, it is guaranteed to crack. And it's not necessarily always because of the concrete. What you have to think about in your area, and every area of the country has different kinds of soil. Some soil can be very expansive, which means that as it gets wet, it pumps up. Okay, kind of like if you would pump up a tire, an inner tube, it will pump up. As it dries, it comes from pumping up to going back down. Now, what does that do to the surface on top of it? Okay, if this is the deck that it's on, when it expands, that deck is going to be bent up. Does concrete bend? No, it doesn't. So what's going to happen right along this line? You're going to get cracks. Now, it will not be as extensive as I was illustrating here. I was trying to just go overboard with it so you understand what I'm talking about. But as that soil expands, it will crack your concrete. And so if you walk down the sidewalk, if you look at driveways, if you look at any concrete just about anywhere in your neighborhood or around your town, you'll see that it is cracked. It may be just a little hairline crack, or it may be a big substantial separated crack. Now, what causes one or the other? A substantial separated crack happens when that concrete did not have any steel in it. Now, what is steel? Steel is, well, think of the size of my ink pen here. If that was solid steel, okay, that's called rebar. So the rebar goes down and it's put in a pattern, and it's put in a pattern in the location the concrete is going to be poured. Then the concrete is poured over that. Now, what this rebar does is as that concrete cracks, let's say it cracks along this little line right here, it will stay together. You will see a crack line. You'll see a small joint there, but you won't see it separating. What happens when you have concrete without the rebar? You'll have a crack, but instead of the crack, you'll have it separate. And then you'll see weeds growing up through it and things like that. I'm sure you've seen driveways like that. Now, driveways are a little different because driveways have to be poured thicker. And so more often than not, hopefully the driveway will not crack. But most concrete is only poured a few inches thick. Now, we like to pour it 4.5 inches thick, and then we put the steel inside of it. So this gives it that added strength. So it will have little hairline cracks that will not separate. Most people don't like to see hairline cracks because what happens is they end up being kind of like a spider web. I mean, they just can go in all different strange kind of directions. They don't just crack straight like a straight line. So that's the biggest problem with concrete that we face. Over the years, as contractors, we see this as a problem. And because concrete was the most popular for years to go around swimming pools, decks, sidewalks going up to the front of your house, that kind of thing, we tried to find ways to offset this and to keep that from being an issue for our customers. So one of the things we started doing was we started putting color into it, and that kind of reduced the look a little bit of the cracks, and then we started stamping it. So what stamping means is you take a stamp pattern and you stamp down on the concrete, and it literally goes down into the concrete and makes a recessed pattern in the concrete. Because the recessed pattern shows some shadows, you tend to not see the cracks as much. Unfortunately, you have the cost of concrete. Oh, I didn't mention something. Concrete can come in different PSI strengths. So what does that mean? PSI is pounds per square inch. So it can come in 1,000 psi, 2,000 psi, 1,500 psi, 3,500 psi, 4,000 psi. Guess what? Most concrete companies, or I should say contractors, that are the ones that are trying to get your business, so they're trying to give you the least expensive product they can possibly give you. Guess what strength they're going to be putting in their concrete? So if you buy concrete, specify the PSI strength that you demand. Okay, I would say demand 3,500, because that will give you the better chance of having it not crack as much, or having the cracks not show as much. Then, if you were to do a stamp on top of that, so, okay, you have the additional cost for the stronger concrete, you have the base cost for the concrete, you have the cost for steel. Now here's another thing. A lot of people will say, yeah, we'll put metal into it, but all they do is they put a little mesh that they put out in there, or sometimes they don't even put any steel at all. They'll put a synthetic mesh that they put in. Sometimes they will put like a crosshatch of, it's like a net of fiber product that they say will hold, but believe me, concrete is stronger than that little plastic they put in there, and the plastic will break. So you really want steel rebar, okay? So be sure you have steel rebar. And then how close together it is. They may put rebar that's 4 feet apart. That's of no value to you. You need rebar that's on a 12-inch center, okay? Minimum 12-inch center. So what that means is it's a lot more rebar. It means it's a lot more material. So now your cost has gone up because your base concrete, then your better concrete, then your steel rebar. Then if you want color in it, that's additional cost. Then if you want a stamp, that's an additional cost. Now we're up to just about the same cost as getting pavers. Sometimes pavers are less expensive. So pavers are the alternative material that you can use to concrete. Oh, one of the other types of concrete that are advertised a lot are these little pebble stones, and like you'll see companies advertising, fix the cracks in your driveway, fix the cracks in your sidewalk with pebble stone. Well, what they do is they take an epoxy material, some of them, and I'm not quoting what every company uses, I'm just giving you an example, and they'll have like a gravel in it, and they bond this gravel to your concrete and put a little coating of it over the top. In years that will flake off, or not flake off, but chip off, and then you'll have pockets in it. My biggest problem with it is it's so uncomfortable to walk on barefooted, and it gets so hot in the summer. Many people, when they try to remodel a swimming pool, they'll put this around the edge of their swimming pool, and then they'll hate it because the stone in there absorbs the heat, and it gets very hot in hot areas. And so that's another alternative for concrete surfaces. And then there are other surfaces. You can do like a super deck surface over the top, which is a very thin layer of another concrete that comes in colors, and they can snap little patterns on it. My problem with that, and we won't install these materials at all, is because it will delaminate, which means as it ages, it will come off, and you'll have just a mess. And the stuff's pretty expensive. So again, the alternative is either do it right, the way we described it, and put concrete in and bear with any little cracks that you will have, or consider pavers. And we'll talk in our next episode about pavers. Thanks.